trends always balance each other out. That's why Demure popped when BRAT was oversaturated. That's why we saw the rise of the clean girl aesthetic alongside Unwell and Hot Mess. Let's talk about it. So here's the thing. Since the beginning of time, you've seen that pendulum swing where when one trend becomes oversaturated, we see the exact opposite come into style, right? So it's maximalism, it's excess, and then all of a sudden it's minimalism, it's influencers everything to de-influence. Like that's a very common trajectory that we see. So again, when you look at last year, for example, Alex Cooper's Unwell network, Alex Earl being a hot mess, that being absolutely everywhere. And as I said, alongside that rose that sort of clean girl aesthetic. So you have, Alex Cooper, who's most famous for launching her media empire, talking about sexual exploits in a very raunchy way, quite the opposite of Demure. You have Alex Earl, who part of her brand as this ultimate party girl is that there's constantly mess around her, literally. And that's her brand. Not mindful, not cutesy. And then this sort of messy, brash vibe hits a peak with BRAT. And BRAT is, again, this Gen Z, again, as my colleague at the board, Carly Hand, said, specifically undesigned, a little bit blurry. BRAT is messy and unapologetically so. And almost really powerful in so doing. And so at the exact moment that we can't escape this sort of oversaturation of, new and modern and BRAT, we have this harkening back to Demure, which is a very historic vocabulary word. Like, I think we can all think about our grandmothers talking about us being Demure. Like, I'm not surprised that we see this clip that Netflix has run from Gilmore Girls with Emily Gilmore talking about how demure Rory is, or the clip that Peacock ran of Fran Drescher as the nanny, like mispronouncing demure, but saying that that's what she was going for to attract Mr. Sheffield. It was seen as this really sort of moment of like historic gravitas and almost like rigidity and adherence to modesty. Now, of course, Jules LeBron, who's responsible for the entire trend, subverted it. And that's what always makes something innovative. So the thing is that, if you had asked someone who was demure 50 or 70 years ago or more, they would have said Doris Day, right? Doris Day would be demure and cutesy, like a little button-nosed blonde. And one of the things that's so powerful about this trend is to have a trans woman of color who is not a sample size, who was working a minimum wage job, define generationally what is demure, what is mindful, what is thoughtful, is amazing and wonderful, and explains why this trend is so popular. Because it's subversive. It's subversive. Again, like 70 or 100 years ago, or much less, candidly, I don't even know if 30 years ago, Jules LeBron would have been the one who was able to claim what demure is. And here's the other thing that's so interesting, is that we've talked about also like how social media trends and this political campaign for president are like so intertwined. And just like we had Kamala as BRAT, and that was so not applicable to the Trump campaign, anyone who grabs someone by the pussy is not demure. Like, Trump cannot touch what is trending everywhere on social media. But Kamala could lean into the demure trend. I mean, have you seen like how well tailored her suits are? Kamala is demure. And the fact that she is demure and BRAT simultaneously, the fact that as these trends like absolutely oversaturate pop culture, and for the flash in the pan that they are the trend of the moment, they're applicable to her campaign. It's just shows how resonant she is in this moment. So anyway, I think for anyone who's like demure came out of nowhere, no, it didn't. Whenever we like push the pendulum in one direction, it's gonna swing really hard back in the other. So you have like messy, it's gonna swing back to demure. And then it generally kind of moderates in the middle. And so I am curious to see, I actually made a video yesterday, kind of like in the style of the demure trend when I was talking about what it's like to do demure as someone in social, you have to be in it right now because the moment is right now. And because we're already seeing the tweets of people saying like, I'm over it. What I'm really curious about with any trend is the staying power. And so, you know, like I kind of, as I said, I made a joke in my last video, which is like, I personally would not advise Demure holiday, but who knows how long this will be a catchphrase. Like I will never forget when I was like in my early 20s, I was at a bar, that like was featuring Vanilla Ice for the night. And it was like 25 years after Ice Ice Baby. And there were literally these girls like Vanilla. And like, it's still like people will like go crazy for Ice Ice Baby, probably even now, probably even, you know, 20 years past that. So like, you never know when it's going to be a catchphrase that's going to stay forever versus when it's going to be a catchphrase for 15 minutes of fame. But I'm not surprised that it cropped up and gained popularity right now in this moment because that's what we see in trends.